In this video, I'll be replacing the door leading to the garage. This door has had a number of problems, the first of which being that the weather stripping and the insulation around the door was not installed properly, and so that has to be replaced. And you can see that this is just kind of Frankensteined together in the past. The second problem with this door is that it's a flat door and not a six-panel door, and all the other doors in the house are six-panel doors, so I want to replace this to match. I'll start by removing the door, and then after the door is removed, I'll carefully remove the door trim. This is the door trim being removed on the garage side of the door. I had some storage shelves in front of the trim at this point, so I just had to cut through the trim nails in order to remove the trim. Here you can see one of the main problems with the door clearly. There was no insulation placed between the door jamb and the framing, which allowed a lot of heat to escape in the summertime, and this was a big problem. Now I'll remove the door jamb and I'll remove the threshold. This is the new door I'll be installing. It's a steel door, 6-panel, and it has a jamb and a threshold that's integral. I'll spend a lot of time squaring and plumbing the door jamb, and in particular the hinge side of the door. This will allow the door to hang without swinging open or swinging closed. I'm using wood shims on each side of the door jamb. Shims at the top, shims right at the middle, and then shims at the bottom that allowed me to plumb and square the jamb. After getting the jamb plumbed the first time, I realized that there was a piece of plastic that was still at the bottom of the threshold, so I had to remove that, and then I had to plumb the jamb again. Here I'm making sure that the jamb on the opposite side of the hinges is plumbed and square so that the door makes good contact with the weather stripping. Now it's time for the door hardware. First the door strike, and then I'll put on the handles. Now I will install the deadbolt. Here I'm using some expanding foam to fill the gap between the framing and the door jamb. The expanding foam is a great option for filling that gap between the framing and the door jamb. However, there's a downside to it that you have to be careful with. In my case, what I did, I ended up getting a little bit overzealous in applying the expanding foam, and it ended up pushing on the door jamb, and the jamb ended up impinging on the door. So I had to go back and cut some of the expanding foam away to relieve some of that pressure so that the door would close properly. It was all good in the end, but if I were to do it again, I'd be a little more careful in how I applied the expanding foam so that it didn't create so much pressure on the jamb. With the door hung and insulated, the next step is to reinstall the trim around the door. Caulking with some painter's caulk before You apply the paint will seal up all the little gaps and cracks and make the job look much more professional. Painter's caulk is water soluble. Use a damp rag drawn over each bead of caulk and you'll get a nice clean finish. One last step before this project is done. Here I'm adding some paint around the trim and on the door, and then we'll be done. Hi, Nicole. I'm pleased with the results of this project. It went from a flat, ugly door that was very drafty to a nicely sealing door and a door that matches the rest of the house, so very happy.